Hi, I'm Andrei Mincov, the founder of Trademark Factory, and in this video I'm going to share my thoughts about yet another trademarking screw-up. This time around, it's Toronto Maple Leafs fighting with Snoop Dogg over Leafs. Alright, let me start by reading from the article, and you can always find the link in the description below. The Toronto Maple Leafs are suing Snoop Dogg for copying their logo for his new weed company. Toronto Maple Leafs suing Snoop Dogg for copying their logo for his cannabis startup business, Leafs by Snoop. There's major drama going on between two random parties that we did not expect. The Toronto Maple Leafs are now suing Snoop Dogg for copying their logo for his new weed company called Leafs by Snoop. The NHL team has officially filed their legal opposition against the rapper's cannabis startup, and the two parties have been low-key battling it out in a legal fight. It all started when Snoop Dogg filed to trademark the intellectual property and branding of his weed startup Leafs by Snoop in July last year, according to The Independent. The Toronto Maple Leafs were not too pleased by this and took some legal action of their own. The NHL team filed a legal opposition against Snoop Dogg last month in December. The Maple Leafs said the unusual spelling of Leafs could lead to confusion, according to The Independent. Not only did they have issues with the name of the rapper's weed company, but they also were not a fan of the branding and logos of the startup. So these are the logos below, and right, so they invite you to compare for yourself whether Snoop Dogg's new logo is copying the Leafs. The Toronto Maple Leafs also provided reasons why they thought his logo was copying theirs. The similarity between the marks is exacerbated by the design elements of the Leafs by Snoop mark, said the Canadian hockey team. Snoop Dogg's design mark uses a white font enclosed within a white-shaped leaf with three large segments at the top of the mark, a design echoing the highly similar to the Maple Leafs design marks. Okay, in this legal battle, many people appear to be siding with Snoop Dogg on social media as of now. Well, duh, there's a lot more people on social media who prefer weed over intellectual property. So it's much easier to understand weed than how intellectual property works. So I wouldn't put a lot of weight on those comments on social media, and I'll provide some of my own in a moment. But let's keep reading. So several have taken to Twitter to defend the rapper and his weed company's logo. I think almost every weed logo looks more like Maple Leafs logo than that. Well, yeah. I did some research for you. Nobody thinks your logo looks like Snoop Dogg's Leafs by Snoop logo. Yeah, right. So anyway. So that's the comparison in the opposition. So you can read the tweets, and I'll just keep reading the article. The Toronto Maple Leafs also try to defend why it was important that no one copy their branding. Over 90 years ago, the Maple Leafs adopted it as one of their key brand names, the trademark Leafs, argued the team in the legal document. They have used their Leafs mark in the U.S. commerce since 1927. Leafs mark reflects a highly unusual and distinctive spelling. Now that's important since the plural of the English language word leaf is usually presented as leaves with VE, not leafs with an F. As of now, it appears that no decision has been made yet as to whether Snoop Dogg can legally keep the name and logo for his cannabis enterprise Leafs by Snoop. Stay tuned to find out who comes out as the winner of this legal battle. All right, so it's actually more interesting than you think, and it's crazier than you think. Because look, Toronto Maple Leafs may not have won Stanley Cup for over 50 years, but their lawyers shouldn't be as sloppy as the hockey team, right? You shouldn't expect them to have the same results as the hockey team they're representing, right? So there's a lot going on in that opposition, and there's a lot going on with what Snoop is doing. So just to give you an idea, Snoop has filed 9 trademark applications. Not 1, not 2. He filed 9. He's got a trademark for Leafs by Snoop as a word mark. He's got the logo for that. He's got Leaf by Snoop. 1 leaf, no S at the end, with a logo. There's actually several logos for different products and services. He filed for LBS, Leafs by Snoop, as abbreviation as a logo and the word mark. And he also filed for Leafs by Snoop for clothing. And there is a lot going on there. But let me first go to the opposition and you'll see why. So again, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to go a little bit through it. So Maple Leafs, their lawyers, say Toronto Maple Leafs got a bunch of trademarks. They got Leafs, they got Leafs, they got Leafs, all for different things, for clothing. They got one for entertainment services. They got one for another one on entertainment services for ice hockey exhibitions. And this one was providing information in the field of hockey via internet. There's got Maple Leafs. They got another Maple Leafs. They got a logo for Toronto Maple Leafs. They got this logo for Toronto Maple Leafs. They got this logo for Toronto Maple Leafs. They got a lot of trademarks. And so they say that they've been an iconic member of the NHL since the league's inception in 1917. Such is one of the NHL's original 6 clubs. Okay, they've won Stanley Cup. Well, it was a long time when they've last done it. 13 times in their history. And recently celebrated their 100th anniversary. They have a large fan base throughout the United States and Canada. 90 years ago, they adopted as one of their key brand names Trademark Leafs. They have used it in Canada, US, and everywhere, blah, blah, blah. And again, this plural Leafs and not Leaves. They own the rights to the trademarks. They are all their trademarks that they're listing. And as a result of widespread use, everybody knows them and they own statutory and common law rights to the Leafs marks. And that's what they're claiming. They're saying that have been used in commerce since 1927, publicized, da-da-da. All right, applicant, da-da-da-da. The registration would damage Leafs marks. Leafs marks have priority over Leafs by Snoop, and they propose da-da-da-da. So all of this, right? So they say it's distinctive, and they're asking the USPTO do not register Snoop's mark. So again, they don't only own the logo. So if you compare just the logos, you may be thinking, well, I'm not so sure, but there's a lot more going on. But here's my problem with this opposition. They're opposing Leafs by Snoop, the word mark, and they're opposing Leafs by Snoop, the logo. What they're not opposing is Leaf by Snoop and the same logo that says Leaf by Snoop just without the S. They have never bothered to oppose those. Why not? If these two logos are confusingly similar, then certainly the other one is. But they have never bothered to oppose that. And it went straight to allowance. And USPTO was just waiting for Snoop to file the statement of use saying that he has commenced selling his products and services under the Leaf by Snoop brand. Right? They have never bothered with the LBS mark. Well, that I can understand because it has nothing to do with Leafs. And there's one other development that is not mentioned anywhere. One of Snoop's trademarks, Leafs by Snoop, was voluntarily abandoned. So he probably was approached by somebody. I would not be surprised if it's Toronto Maple Leafs, because he wanted to trademark that brand for clothing. So somebody approached him and he voluntarily withdrew his application for Leafs by Snoop for clothing. So if that was Toronto Maple Leafs and they managed to convince him to voluntarily withdraw that one application, I'm wondering why that wasn't the case for the other ones. And I'm wondering if that's some smart PR move on both party sides, because really I can't make any sense of this fact that Leaf by Snoop and the Leaf by Snoop logo, Toronto Maple Leafs are okay with, and Leafs by Snoop and Leafs by Snoop logo suddenly creates that big problem that the hockey team with a 100-year history needed to take this to USPTO. And look, I'm actually ready to side with the hockey team because it is too close, and you know my thoughts about parody not being a proper defense against trademark infringement. So I would say they're right, but what is it? Are they other lawyers sloppy? They didn't see the other trademark applications. They missed the bus. What's going on there? That I don't know, and it would be curious to find out. Again, we'll see if they settle, if they find a way to coexist, if the trademarks office is going to make the decision one way or the other. Once we know the answer, you'll know it too. And if you found this video interesting, if you found it useful, subscribe now, get notified whenever the next video goes live. And if you got a brand that you want to protect, whatever it is that you do, as long as you value your brand, as long as you value your brand enough to care not to lose it, that's when you realize you want to protect it. That's when you realize you need to trademark it. And that's when you can go to trademarkfactory.com and book a call with our strategy advisors. The call is free, costs you nothing, and they'll walk you through the process. They'll answer all your questions and will be able to help you get this process started. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.